Hey guys, and welcome to Get Life Podcast Kunai. This is a new podcast, and you're like, what? Bish, what the hell is Get Life Podcast Kunai? Basically what it is, it's a podcast for you guys, specifically about anime and manga and all that lovely stuff. So yeah, it's going to be split into two types of episodes. One is discussion episodes where me, Tyson, and Kevin discuss the animes of your choice. So you can go and submit that to us at Get Life Podcast on Twitter, and we'll go through those. And interview episodes like this, and we're joined by some special guests. Introduce yourself, guests.
So, hi, my name's Nigel. I'm a co-founder of Mayamada, which is a anime-inspired clothing and character-based brand.
And my name is Lau, and I'm the other co-founder of Mayamada. I've been working with Nigel on the brand for about 4 years now. And I guess I should probably say a little bit about me. I've been a manga / anime fan since probably the 80s. I think the first anime I saw as a kid, although I didn't realize it till later when I found out the name, was the piece of Castle in the Sky. Quite like the Studio Ghibli stuff. But these days, I hardly get to watch much anime because I'm working on Mayamada.
Oh, so would you say that Mayamada's kind of hindered your anime schedules?
It has.
Yeah, I think we found out like when you start up a business, it pretty much takes over in a good way, because we like what we're doing. So it just doesn't leave too much time.
I see.
For, other things.
So for the listeners who don't know about Mayamada, can you just explain what it's about briefly?
Yeah, so it's a mix of original characters, clothing, and manga. So we've created a fantasy television network world with an all-animal cast, and they've all got their own stories, backgrounds, and then we create their stories through manga, and we create clothing designs based off the characters.
So you mentioned that all the cast are animals. Why is that? Is there a specific reason for that, or?
Well, when we were first thinking up the brand, we wanted something different. To be honest, that was the main thing. So I think we kind of ruled out humans because it would be too much like everything else that's out there. And I think one of the other choices was robots that came through our minds at one point. So we had a choice of that or animals, and we thought animals would have more of a friendly appeal to people. So kind of went with that to make something different that stood out.
Well, you mentioned it was a unique idea, but honestly, I've seen quite a lot of manga recently that have had animals as their main characters, mainly pandas and whatever. So, but for me, when I first saw this kind of Mayamada at London Anime Con, what kind of stuck out was the monkey with the samurai sword. You know, how did that came to being?
Yeah, so that was one of our first characters, the samurai chef. And after we decided that we'd go with animals, we started thinking of stories to create shows from, and we wanted to parody things that were already out there. And Lau and myself are both fans of food in general. Lau at the time was watching a lot of cooking shows, so kind of came up with the idea of taking something like the Iron Chef and putting a little twist on it. So we created the Samurai Chef character, where the premise was he would be the judge of this show, and he would judge contestants' dishes by attacking them with a samurai sword. So throughout the book, you kind of see the progression and the escalation of this battle between the dishes that become animated themselves along the way, and the Samurai Chef as he's judging each one.
So, with the Samurai Chef's design, how come he's not dressed up in full samurai gear? Why does he only have the chef hat and the samurai sword?
So he's gone through a little change actually. So the original design, he just had the samurai sword and the chef's hat. In the book, by the time we got to writing the first book, actually updated the design a little bit to give him the full uniform. So he's got the hat, he's got the sword, but he also has the rest of the chef's outfit covering most of his modesty. So it's gone through a bit of a change to add that.
I see. So what makes him a samurai?
Well, his background, we actually, as well as the Samurai Chef comic, we've also created a prologue comic it's called Samurai Chef Origins, and that tells the story of a young Samurai Chef as he enters a special dojo where he learns his samurai training, but also learns how to cook and gets an appreciation for that. So it kind of explains how he came from a young, hopeful and determined monkey to being the Samurai Chef host on the show. So I won't give it too much away, but it's a short comic that you can download from our website, and it kind of fills the gaps of where he came to be.
So, what is the pricing on the comics?
Oh, sorry, say that again. My connection kind of went.
I was saying, what are the pricing on the comics?
Oh, so the comic for Samurai Chef is £5, and that's available on our website. It's also available at Mega City Comics in Camden, and again as a ebook on the Amazon Kindle store. So you can get that for I think it's about £2.
So another thing is, do you have any other series, like other mangas, other than the Samurai Chef?
So basically we've got a number of other characters, and obviously these people have different stories. On the website you can actually see two of the other ones, one of which is Hot Lunch, which is pretty much Nigel's baby, and my baby is called The 11th Hour. And I've pretty much alright, first things first, this name has been used already by our show, so I may have to change it. But yeah, sure. Wait, I'll just start from the top of like what it is. So, so My Baby is a show called The 11th Hour, which is a action manga, and it's kind of a mix between 24 and Crash. I don't know if you've seen the film Crash, but like just to give a general overview of the kind of narrative, you've basically got a story that's intertwined, and it's shown from the perspective of different characters. In the 11th Hour, we basically have 4 main characters, and we watch what happens throughout the day as they're chased by these kind of mystery men. They don't know who they are. All they know is that these people are after them, and they don't know why. And the story unfolds as the day progresses, and it kind of culminates at the 11th hour of the day. And it finishes at midnight. So that's the kind of premise of the show. But unlike 24, it's not going to be like an hour by hour play of what happens. It just kind of just plays out in one day, and that's the whole entire show. And I'm also telling this story from the perspective of one character per volume, and I've currently written the outline and initial dialogue for the first story, which is featuring the panda called Dan. And Dan, you can go to the website and you can see a little bit about him, but he's basically a family man, he's a hard worker, loves his kids and his wife, maybe works a bit too hard, maybe overworks a bit, so, the kids don't get to see his dad much, and his wife's just like a proper diva, basically. And she's running him down. Like, honestly, like, he could burn out any second. But he just loves his family so much, he doesn't want to lose them. And then, basically, the beginning of the day, it starts with him being told that he's going to lose his house, he's going to lose his job, and then these guys turn up and they're just chasing him. And it's just like, what the heck's going on? And things start to come together throughout the day as, like, he kind of is running away, defending himself, and there's a few other twists and turns in there as well. And throughout the story, you basically see the other characters, Sometimes they play a slightly more prominent role. Sometimes they're merely in the background, so to speak. Maybe a main character will pass through their place of work, or maybe they're at a coffee shop and one of the other main characters is there. And in the succeeding volumes, what happens is you'll basically see the intersecting points when we focus on a different character. So I think, just for the sheer fun of that kind of story, it should be pretty good, at least. Because you want to see, okay, what was this guy doing at that point, that kind of thing. So far I've been having fun writing it, and it's a story we hope to have out maybe at the end of the year. We'll see how things go. Yeah.
So what about Hot Lunch? Because you mentioned that, and just by the title, it sounds really interesting. Care to talk about that?
Yeah, so that's one of the shows that we're working on, or will be working on after the first two. And the premise is a group of food thieves led by Taishi, who is the tiger that you'll see on our website and banners at London Anime Con. He basically has this mission to take down a cabal of elite chefs in the area. So he puts together a team of thieves to take down this cabal by basically pulling a heist at all the restaurants that they own. And it's a bit of a heist show. And it kind of goes on from there.
I see. So would you compare the whole heist thing to the Yakuza in Japan? Would it be something similar to that, or?
Yeah, I think I got a sense of, I guess, Ocean's 11, but instead of casinos, we're talking about restaurants and food. So it's a little, if you want to compare it to something, I guess it's along those lines.
I see. So, because these are all animals, how do you think the reader would feel about these animals being in situations that normally humans would be in? Because for me, it's kind of weird to get used to, especially like animals in gangs and stuff, holding heists.
Yeah, that's true. Holding heists, yeah. I think, well, from what I've found is people kind of take to the characters, and because the stories are still human stories in a sense, it kind of gets around that, so you still can identify with the characteristics of particular characters, so they each have their own personality, so that makes it easier to go along with the story, even though it is a tiger, a rhino, and a crane pulling these heists.
Yeah, I think the way I look at it is everyone, and I'm talking humans now, I think everyone could probably be attributed to a given character. Like, I mean, there's people I work with that, I would say, they remind me of a kind of a rhino, where they're always kind of strutting around and, like, just bashing into people, and, they act big and tough and whatnot, and maybe they are a little bit big and tough, or maybe their facial structure is kind of tough, for instance, and, like, hard angles. So if I was to draw them as a creature, there's a little bit of that in there when you tell stories this way. It kind of just accentuates the actual character that you're trying to portray. So, like, for instance, you've got Lily, who's a swan, and she is an investment banker, for instance, which is not even a typical character like that you would see. But I mean, like, just because of some people I've met, I know I've kind of met that personality, so I'm kind of stealing little bits from that and kind of throwing that into Lily's character. And I know that people will see Lily, and some people, by the way, hate her. Some people like her. So, and that's just off the pictures alone, because we've kind of dressed her like she does have money, like she does know what she wants, and she doesn't care what other people think. And, a swan, so, that's how we kind of use this to our advantage to kind of get the full kind of flavor of all the characters, if you will.
I see. So, in summary, you're taking, people that you've met and from experiences and stuff, and putting that into the manga, essentially?
A little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think a number of creators do this to an extent. Yeah, because it's just it's very hard to come up with something original that you haven't been influenced by something else in any way. I think you'll always get some level of influence from outside, and the truth is that when you do create a character, it's normally quite cool to start off at least with someone you know, or an aspect of someone you know, and kind of distort it, and then kind of tweak it, and then maybe add a little different flavor and give them motivations that make the character interesting. So yes.
Okay, so in regards to actually making the manga, producing the story and whatnot, how long does that take you from the idea to the finished product?
The short answer is longer than we thought. The long answer, so for the Samurai Chef, for example, that actually came about through an Indiegogo fundraising platform campaign. So in 2013, so at the beginning of 2013, we finished the campaign successfully, and then could start writing the book. So I think from the first idea to the script to running the campaign to producing the artwork and getting it printed, it was about 6 months, which was about twice the time we actually thought it would take. So it was our first book, and we were happy with how it came out, and also happy for like the learning process through it, because we got a better sense of what it actually takes to produce a comic book.
So to those who are, manga artists now, and they're thinking about producing their own manga, what do you have to say to those people? Like words of advice?
I think words of advice, do it, because if it's something you enjoy, then there's no reason why you shouldn't. But I'd also say if you're trying to produce a book, have a clear plan, and that will help you. That will go a long way to making sure you stick with it and get the finished book. Because when like I said, it was the first book we made, and we came through a lot of unexpected bumps in the road.
Okay. So can you give an example of those unexpected bumps?
Yeah, I mean, for example, we work with myself and Lau. We have our main illustrator, Pinelli, who does the artwork for the book, and it sounds like a simple thing, but scheduling was one issue that we had. So we set up the campaign to run to a particular schedule, but then also for her, she had other work to do, and because of that, we couldn't start at exactly the moment we thought we would be able to start with the artwork. So that's a situation if you're, say if you're an artist working with a writer or vice versa, is to make sure whatever plan you put together that both people are fully aware of it. The other thing is writing a script for a comic and eventually rewriting a script for a comic. When you get different ideas or you change your ideas, this all adds to the length of time it will take to get the finished product. So yeah, I think those are two of the ones I've just off the top of my head.
Okay, so in regards to actually, producing the product and whatever, how did you guys kind of think? Like, did you guys originally wanted it to be printed, or would you prefer to have it on mobile devices and those kind of platforms?
I think from the outset we wanted a printed book. I know that a lot of the trends these days is going digital, just in all walks of life, but you still see people that like the feel of a good book, that like to collect books. So it was really important that we kind of stayed with that, as we both like physical objects and whatnot. So So
I think for us, we also wanted all the books we produce eventually to be collectibles, because they're not something that will be produced like every week, for example. So we need each one to be sort of special and something that you can keep a collection of. So it's important that they were physical, although they are also in digital form, but that we had a book that someone could keep and hold and read if they wanted.
Okay, so in regards to this collection, when do you think the next book will be released?
Okay, so we got actually at the moment we're working on the second volume of Samurai Chef. So for those that have seen or read the Samurai Chef book, they'll know it ends on a cliffhanger, or a little bit of a cliffhanger. And what we wanted to do before moving to the other stories is revisit and continue and conclude the Samurai Chef stories. So the second part of the book has been written, and we intend to do another Kickstarter early July, where people will be able to back the project to get the Samurai Chef Volume 2 produced, and it will be sort of twice the length of the original, and we'll also combine, I think we're currently thinking of combining into one book, so you get a complete book from beginning to end. So you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter and such, and you'll know when the campaign starts, where it's early July, and then we'll begin the book for autumn, get a book done for autumn, and then from there move on to the 11th hour.
I see. So you're not taking on more than one project at the same time. You're thinking of completing one and then moving on to the next one. Is that correct?
Yeah. This is one of the lessons we learned doing the first book. It's better to focus on one and finish. And just because after we put out the first Samurai Chef, we got a lot of people sort of asking what happens next. So it would seem a shame to kind of move on to another story before we ended the one that we started.
Okay.
That brings up another point actually about what we're putting out as a brand. We've got different types of stories that have different lengths. So I mean, the Samurai Chef, it's pretty much a contained story. So obviously it's going to complete very soon, and that will be that, at least for now. But say for instance, the 11th hour, slightly longer. I would say if it were an anime, it would probably be a 13 episode, for instance, one season. But the likes of, say, Hot Lunch could be seasons long, because it's kind of a, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a baddie of the week, it's like a heist of the week type of show. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? So that be a little bit more long running compared to the others. And so we have to kind of balance, alright, which one do we focus on first? The juggling act.
I see. So you've just mentioned that if it was to be an anime, it would be roughly 12 episodes. Are you considering about making these stories into anime?
That's the end goal for us. As far as our characters go, we definitely want this to be animated. Samurai Chef, Hot Lunch, 11th Hour, and all of the other ideas that we have in our brains at the moment. We'd love for them to be animated. But, you know, what we found is obviously that costs a lot of money. So rather than try and source the money and take on a lot of risk, you know, the manga form is a great way to tell a story. So we thought, you know, let's be a bit humble about it. Start small and prove ourselves as well in that arena. And if people really want to see it animated, they'll support us. And hopefully we'll be able to put it out there.
Yeah, and I think for ourselves as well, it helps for us to concentrate on getting the stories out first, and then focusing on how to animate them. So, like, either way, everyone will know the stories, and then hopefully we can get them animated later down the road.
Yeah.
Because, you know, that would be a very awesome thing, because I could just imagine a Samurai Chef animation, because, you know, monkeys with samurai swords, that'll be pretty awesome. I have to say. And yeah, out of all of the characters that you guys have thought up with, who would you say are your favourites?
Our favourites, or...
Yeah, your own personal favourites.
Tyler, you go first.
No, you go first. Okay. Alright, I'll go first. Oh man, this is a question. I don't even want to go to my own, but I have to because I made it. So I don't know what that says about me. But basically, I have one character called Shun, and he is a community officer in the 11th hour, and he basically he wants to become a detective. You know, he's like kind of a do-gooder. He's a tough guy. You know, he's grown up in a rough neighborhood and just wants to do good by everyone and kind of do the right thing now. I don't really talk much about his past, but you can pretty much guess he wasn't always an angel or anything. And to be honest, even though his story comes quite later on in the overall kind of story, the 11th hour, he's just a badass, man. He's the badass character. So yeah, that's pretty much why I like him. But he's not bad, if that makes sense. So he's not like a Jack Bauer, like where he would necessarily kill to get the job done. He's more like a Goku. That helps.
I like how you're comparing him to Goku.
You get my point. I don't even know how you get a kind of a mix where you've got the severity of Jack Bauer, but with the heart of Goku. I don't know if they have it.
Okay. Cool. That's the first time I heard that.
Yeah, it just came to me, man. But it made
I think for me, I do like the Samurai Chef because he doesn't talk. He just like all about action. So I do like that. But I think my personal favorite character is Taishi's the Hotline story. And like I said, it's sort of a team of thieves trying to take down a big shadowy cabal of chefs. And why I like that character is I like the idea of the small guy taking down the big guy, basically, having the ambition to do that and putting out a plan to get that done. So I think that's why I like his character. Plus, he looks good in the suit. I also like that too.
Awesome. Do you think there is any chance that we might see some crossovers within your manga series?
So this is a good question because we have talked about this, like how to handle that. So there's a possibility that could happen, and I think what's more probable is because the whole brand is based on this fantasy television network. We've got the backstage, so behind the scenes kind of thing. So we've come up with the idea, and I think maybe later on during the year you might see some artwork to this, where you see some of the characters from different shows interacting with each other, and seeing how that goes. So I think there's definitely potential for some crossover with the characters.
Okay. So recently, I checked on your website. Recently, you guys went to visit Westminster College. Care to talk about that a bit?
Oh wow, yeah, cool. You've been checking the website, that's good. I briefly visited Westminster College as part of a workshop aimed at young people and getting them started in business or their careers. And the idea was just to explain how technology had helped our brand and how it can help the kids at the college with what they wanted to achieve. So it's kind of one of the few times I've been able to talk out in front of people about the brand. It's really good experience, not only getting to talk with younger people about getting started, but also hearing some of the other speakers talk about what they've done and how technology and things have helped them in their careers.
Great. Another thing is you guys also do a clothing line. So where did that come from? Did that stem from the mangas, or how did that come about?
So that was the original kind of idea was to create some kind of Japanese related clothing and like t-shirts, And as we sort of went on and developed the idea and refined it and eventually rebranded it, we realized we liked like in fashion, we liked creating our own fashion, but then we also liked telling stories. So it's kind of a weird mix, but we found a way to merge the two together. So it's not necessarily a case of one coming the other. It's like
it's symbiotic.
Yeah, that's the word I was probably looking for.
That's exactly what it is. Although I would like to add a little bit as well to the why. I mean, for me personally, I've been a manga fan since the 80s. Love manga, love anime. The culture has been something I've just always felt is just one of the coolest things out there. But I also found that not everyone took to it straight away. There was almost like a bit of a prejudice against anime. But there was this one Christmas, I'll never forget this. I was just jamming in my room watching One Piece, the Nami Saga, if you care to know. And that was a really, really deep manga season, of anime season. And my big sister, who doesn't like anime, walked in the room. And she ended up watching the whole episode with us. Because she was just kind of curious at what's going on here. And I think she must have just caught it right at just at the perfect moment. And she was hooked, basically. And she stuck around for a little bit, like watching it. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And like, it just kind of proved my point that I knew, but I just, it was really hard to show people that there's a manga out there that will kind of speak to everyone, but not necessarily everyone will like every manga or anime out there, I proved again, like back when I was in uni, I had a bunch of friends who loved doing Muay Thai, boxing and whatnot, and I showed them Hajime no Ippo, the boxing anime, and they actually really liked it. And I was just like, there's a manga, there's an anime for everyone, and I just feel like what we're doing as well is, in a sense, tapping into that, and our goal was really just to make more and more people just accept and embrace anime, and not treat it as weird, because sometimes you get a little bit of that. Not so much these days. I think it was a lot more when I was younger, but definitely want to bring it, not necessarily to the mainstream, but just make it more accepted and, like, okayed, I guess. I know we've done our job when we've got anime on like prime time.
Yeah, I think actually fashion's a good way to do that, because fashion's and like what we do, like streetwear, speaks to a more mainstream audience. So if we can merge the two and expose people to anime and the art style and the storytelling, then it kind of works to that goal too.
So at the moment, which one do you think is more popular amongst Mayamada fans? Is it the clothing side of things or the manga side of things?
That's a good question. I think maybe we'll see if we had the same answer, but I reckon that it might be the clothing, but because of the characters, if I'm allowed to give the answer. But I think what we found is that even people who don't necessarily like always watch anime or read manga, but they'll have an idea of what it is. They might know someone who watches or reads it. They like the presence of the characters, and I think that kind of pulls them in to the fashion side, and then like eventually to the deeper stories and things like that. So that's the sense I've got so far.
Okay. Quick question about your guys' logo. It's based off the kanji kai, but why is it upside down?
So when we were coming up with the brand Mayamada, and we had the idea to create this fantasy television network, we started looking for icons to build a logo around. And I can't remember exactly where or when, but somewhere along the line we noticed the kai character, and specifically that when you flipped it upside down, it resembled like the old school TV set with the ears, the antennae, and the static lights. So that's kind of the TV that we grew up with. So it's familiar to us. It fit in the brand we were trying to create. So we kind of, we went with it.
Mm. And where did the name Mayamada come from?
So,
That actually came from near Lao.
yeah, it was. What was team effort? Basically, back when we were coming up with just the brand itself, but not in the form that you currently see it. This was before we decided to make it like a fantasy television network. We were just coming up with a t-shirt brand and whatnot. We knew it was going to be Japanese themed in some way, and we wanted to see how we could come up with a name. And you know how you've got different names like your Ralph Lauren's and your Tommy Hilfiger's, and these are people obviously. And we thought, all right, let's come up with a persona. And one of the people in our initial group said, "Oh, well, I've got a friend called Mayamada," and we were like, "Yeah, that's a really cool name." And then I basically said, "Well, it's kind of long. How about if we chop it up? Because I know that the Japanese often kind of take names and make it kind of cute nickname versions of the long name." Mm. So I took the Miyazuki Yamada and just made it Mayamada, and she got Mayamada. And that's basically how the name came about. But on top of that, what we did when we later rebranded and created the Fantasy Television Network, we basically took the persona Miyazuki Yamada and made him owner of the Mayamada TV network. And you'll see him here and there, not necessarily all over the place, and definitely not in a show. But we do feature him from time to time, kind of a bit like an Easter egg.
Hmm. So how would people recognize it's him?
He's a squirrel with a suit and sneakers.
I see. Anyway, now we're just going to move on to some kind of random questions I'm going to think about right now. So, are you guys into gaming?
Yeah. Yeah, we are.
So what type of games do you guys play? I know you probably don't have enough time to be playing games and whatever because of Mayamada. But
It's true.
Yeah, that is very. It's unfortunately painfully true.
But what games would you like to play if you had the time?
Phoenix Wright versus... Oh, sorry.
I know. Yeah, you go. You go.
Basically, if I had the time, I'd be playing Phoenix Wright versus Professor Layton. I'm a Phoenix Wright fan and I'm a Professor Layton fan. Actually, as it happens, there is a game I'm sort of playing on and off by level 5 called The Layton Brothers, which is on Android, which is really, really good for Android game. But it's made by level 5, so any level 5 fans know what to expect. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've got an Xbox in the house, and I did have a Wii as well, but yeah, I'm not sure where it is. But I never got to finish Grand Theft Auto. I'm just going to give you like a list of games that it's going to be a sad.
It's a confession.
Yeah, it is a little bit, but no, I'm a fan of Batman series games, like the Arkham series. Really, really like that game, and I did like, and I'm looking forward to a lot of Wii games as well, Zelda, especially, and Super Smash Brothers.
Awesome.
So I was glad to hear that at E3.
Awesome. So there are some tournaments at London Anime Con. Do you guys think that you'll be taking part in any of them?
You know what?
I was good at stuff. That's the problem.
that is actually it. I mean, like, I'd love to enter in a Smash Brothers tournament, but I recently saw a documentary. I've forgotten the name now, but just type Smash Brothers documentary in Google, and there's a really good series on YouTube at the moment that documents like some of the best in America, and I think even the world. And yeah, after just watching that, I didn't even know the things they were doing were possible in Smash Brothers. I just have a newfound respect for the game, like, and on that basis, I will not be playing it because I imagine.
The last time I did anything kind of tournamenty is when Lau and I went to Japan a while ago, and well, to tell you how long ago, it was around the time that Street Fighter 4 came out, and we actually got to go to Tokyo Game Show. So it wasn't even a tournament; they just let you play the game, and they let you play against other people as they do at conventions. But I played against a guy, and he just wiped the floor with me, like very, very easily wiped the floor with me, and I just had to kind of move on and go see what else was at the show. So I think since then I kind of had to come to the admission that I'm not good enough to enter tournaments, unfortunately. So yeah,
I mean, if they're looking to make up numbers, you know, like Canon, you know, whatever, let's go.
Well, you know, there's a lot of tournaments going on at London Anime Con. There's like, I think maybe you guys would be more suited to like the Mario Kart kind of things, because you guys seem like you don't want to get thrashed. But there are some awesome people at Mario Kart as well. So
don't get me wrong. Yeah, I don't mind losing, but I do care about the way I get thrashed. Some people they thrash you in a really like dehumanizing way. See the way I can put it. You know, really kind of play with you. But yeah, I think you know what, I wouldn't even mind playing a little bit. Yeah, you know what, you're right. Probably the Mario Kart. As long as they've got items on, then we're cool.
I see. Because I'm personally entering a couple of tournaments. Not Mario Kart because I don't own a Wii U, and probably I don't want to suck at that game. But I'm entering the tournament for DOA 5, so I'm hoping I don't lose that badly because I know there's a lot of pros going to be there. So I'm not really a pro. I'm just a casual player. I just join it for fun.
Cool.
Yes, DOA is definitely one of the more fun games I like to lose at least for me.
Why is that?
I don't know. It's enjoyable. It's enjoyable even to lose because you'll still manage to maybe get a few nice combos and tags in there. You know, yeah. I don't know. I like the characters as well.
Oh, so you like? Why do you like the characters? I'm intrigued now.
Do you know what? I think that at least from my perspective, I like the storyline and the way the story's told.
Okay.
More so than Tekken, but I never really owned a Sony like during that era. So like, well, just like Ryu, for instance, he's got his own game. So it's just like, yeah, I tend to get into the story of all these beat 'em ups. So like, I love the Soul Calibur for the same reason. Do you know what I mean? Because everyone had like this crazy like custom story. It's just them and whatnot. I know most beat 'em ups do have this, and I could probably throw in Guilty Gear as well because they're that too. But I never really played it much. But I particularly like the DOA series storylines.
I honestly I thought you were going to say something else because DOA is known for.
I was with you. I was expecting something else.
No.
Like some special game physics and stuff like that. Because I've never seen a game like DOA that you can move the controller about and the boobs jiggle.
I mean,
honestly never seen a game.
Oh, you heard about this? This is so secondary to me, man. Like I'm just like,
dude, I've seen it.
I'm more concerned with the clothes and stuff and the outfits and all this kind of stuff. But maybe because I'm a collector at heart. So obviously I like Pokemons and whatnot and that kind of thing. So it's like, yeah, what outfit can I have on this character? That was always my big concern. And you know, how cool does the character look? You know, because you have to look cool when you're winning and whatnot. So, and well, if you're losing, then obviously another story, but still.
Well, even if you are losing, you need to look good while you're losing.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it gives you at least a shred of credibility.
Yeah, we want so bad while you're losing.
Well, yeah, exactly. That way you can sort of have two winners.
There's no such thing as two winners. If you've entered a tournament, then you'd realize. It's like, for me, it's the worst thing when you win a couple of matches and you're like, yeah. Well, that's because like all the other players are slightly have a lower skill level, but then when you reach the pros, you just feel so bad because they're just too good. I don't know how they know all these combos and whatever, how they do it, but it's just crazy. It's crazy.
It's mental what people can do by this game. It's really cool, actually.
Yeah, it's a discipline, I think. It's an art as well. Actually, you know, that's one thing about competitive gaming that I've noticed. I've observed that you've got gamers that have kind of honed the craft and they're very technical. But then there's those that take it a step further. They're so good that it now becomes artistic, beautiful even. You know, like, and I don't know, those are the geniuses that can basically make you dance around the screen as they parry you and all this kind of stuff. I have a lot of respect for both types, but particularly of those that just kind of basically paint with their gaming, if such a thing is possible.
That was a beautiful analogy right there. I don't think I've ever heard something so... it's so poetic.
Maybe I should be a commentator. I should be a commentator for the competitive gaming. I think I'd be more successful at that. Yeah.
That would be nice to see.
Yeah, I might just give that a go actually at the anime con.
But let's get back to the point here. What are you guys going to be doing at London Anime Con?
Actually, we do have one new addition to Anime Con is a game we're trying out. So we kind of came up with the concept of a character build game, and we've created bits of artwork that we're going to stick around Anime Con for people to scan with QR codes. And each one will take you to a page on our website, and you'll get like a letter. So you have to collect all the letters, rearrange them to get a word, and then the first person to come to the Mayamada stall at London Anime Con with the correct word will get a prize. So that's a new thing we're doing. I mean, other than that, we'll have as like everyone else would do, have our store where you can get our book and clothing line. But I think the game will be interesting to see at the con.
So are you going to pin it around everywhere or only in specific places?
We're going to pick up, probably speak with the organisers and go beforehand to find the best places to stick these bits of artwork up, and then it's just a case of the quickest people that can find them or scan them and get the word will get something from my Mayamada store.
Okay, so what is the prize? Is it like anything from the stall or?
Yeah, so we'll give a book and a t-shirt, choice of t-shirt. So yeah, it's kind of whoever quickest to figure it out.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Do you have any other plans for the London Anime Con?
I think that's the main thing we're going to do there, but we're also at Hypertown later, so we've got some ideas for that also. So it's trying not to do too much at once.
I see. So out of all these kind of expos that you've been to and experienced, which one would you say is your favourite?
I think my favourite might be Hyper Japan. I don't know why though. I can't explain. What about you, Lau?
Favorite show?
Yeah.
You know, here's what I like about Anime Con. It's you just don't know what you're gonna see there, to be honest.
That's true. Yeah.
If you've ever been, you'll know what I mean. It always surprises me.
I think we had a marriage proposal at the last one.
Yeah. It's quite a different show, and I'm told that the con in Leicester is even bigger. But I have to say, Anime Con would still be second for me, and Hyper Japan is number one. I like Hyper Japan because it kind of matches my vision in terms of the way they reach out to pretty much everyone. Like if you go to say MCM, which is another show we really like, you'll get people that are very passionate about like gaming and manga and anime, and you'll get a lot of cosplayers there. And I speak to people that don't go to the show, and they just say, yeah, there's a lot of people dressed up as characters that go there. And I was like, you ever thought of going? Yeah, but I'm not sure. But with Hyper Japan, it's a lot more open. You get the full spectrum of different types of people, families, and you get families at MCM. You definitely don't get families at Anime Con, mind you.
No.
But I don't know. I think it's just a little bit more open to all, which I like. And not only that, the kind of acts that they have on stage and activities that they have.
Because it brings in a lot more of the traditional Japan.
Yeah, you get a lot more culture from there. So it's not just about anime. It's a lot more holistic. And you know, I think I'd probably do better at getting people like that I know to go to that than to MCM or AnimeCon, because it seems a little bit more niche, those ones. But they're still like good shows in their own right, and they do what they do well. So, but that's my personal favorite.
Okay, so I'm gonna wrap this episode up, guys. So, obviously, thank you guys for being on the podcast. It was a pleasure to be recording with you today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, likewise.
No problem. And remember, guys, I'm just going to talk to the listeners now. If you guys want to check out Mayamada, you can go and do that on their Twitter page or their Facebook page. I'll put the links in the descriptions. And yeah, of course, if you guys want to also check out the original Get Life podcast, which is all about Japanese gaming and all of that nice stuff, you can go check that on iTunes. Just type in Bish Loves Mish. You'll see all of the podcasts that we do. So that is Get Life Podcast, the original one, Get Life Podcast Germany, Get Life Podcast France, and of course Get Life Podcast Kunai, which you're listening to now. Yay! Anyway, hope you guys have enjoyed this episode of the Get Life Podcast.
Be sure to check out the Get a Life podcast on iTunes for your Japanese gaming fix and hot chicks. Just kidding. No hot chicks, just Bish.
Hey, that hurt my feelings.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It just had to be said.